Welcome everyone. Welcome to this session. We are waiting for other participants to join. So we'll wait for a few more minutes and then we'll proceed with the session. Hang tight, don't go anywhere. We'll start the session in a few minutes. Hello, everyone. We are waiting for a few more participants to join. We'll start the session in 2 minutes. Start the session in next 2 minutes. So hang tight. Hello, Archie. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sure.
Uh, Thank you. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Shubh Parmar, your host for today's webinar. My team and I are here to make sure you have a seamless and engaging experience. If you have any questions or need assistance, feel free to use the chat window. We are here to help. To the next slide. The topic for today is generative AI on Microsoft Azure, prompting and fine tuning models. Come to the next slide. So, this webinar is hosted by the ATC community, a hub for enthusiasts passionate about cloud technologies, AI, machine learning, IoT, open source development, and DevOps. Go to the next slide. Before we dive into today's session, let me take a moment to introduce Synergetics and Microsoft. Synergetics is a leading edge learning solutions provider in India offering specialized training and consulting services. We empower businesses and professionals to thrive in today's fast evolving tech landscape by delivering transformative learning experiences. Our core focus is on enabling digital transformation through innovative skilling programs, advisory services, and end to end implementation support. From modernizing IT frameworks to mastering emerging technologies like AI, cloud computing, and DevOps, Synergetics is committed to equipping you with the tools and knowledge to succeed. We'll go to the next slide. These are all the 12 learning solutions which are offered by Synergetics. Uh, as you can see on the screen, all the 12 certifications, learning solutions. We'll jump to the next slide. This is the Microsoft certification skilling journey. The journey begins with the fundamental certification, then progresses to advanced role based certifications, and finally to expert level certifications. Uh, we run communities on Meetup. This is the emerging technology community. Anyone who are eager to learn about technological knowledge can join this community on Meetup. We have multiple communities in Pune, Gujarat, Nagpur, and Indore. Those who are interested to join this community, please log into Meetup app and gain your knowledge for free. Go to the next slide. We are thrilled to have a speaker, Mr. Sonu Satyadas, as our today's speaker. He's a certified Microsoft trainer and a consultant at Synergetics. He brings a wealth of knowledge and experience in AI and cloud technologies. Go to the next slide. The agenda for this webinar is focused on Azure OpenAI services. This session explores generative AI techniques like prompt engineering, model fine tuning, and ethical AI deployment. Participants will build applications for text generation, chatbots, or content creation with demos on integrating models into apps and handling safety features. For example, content filtering. Also, hands on activities include fine tuning a model for custom tasks like summarization. Go to the next slide. So this is the learning plan. Uh, Yeah, so this is the learning plan, which includes a webinar, self-learning plan, mentoring, and exam prep sessions, and knowledge assessment. Go to the next slide. As you all know, we are providing a complimentary learning achievement badge for the session, which includes an overview of the module topics which are related to this webinar. Also, you can share these badges on your LinkedIn and X profile as well. So to get the badge activated, you just need to follow certain steps on the screen and redeem the badges. Uh, Also, the link will be shared of this badge in the chat box. Go to the next slide. So you have to follow the code of conduct, which will create a respectful environment for all the participants. Participants, please note you're not allowed to take screenshot of the presentation and cannot do screen recording. Go to the next slide. Also, I would like to take a moment to share information about the certification workshops we conduct at Synergetics. So, these webinars you have been attending are designed to give you a brief overview and summary of the full course content. However, the actual certification training programs for these courses run over 4 days, and we are currently offering them at a special discounted rate exclusively for webinar attendees. On my screen, you can see the list of in demand certification courses we are currently focusing on. And for more details or to register for these courses, you can connect to one of my colleague, Mr. Vivek Balasundaram. His contact number and email ID is already shared in the chat box. We'll go to the next slide. So everyone do follow us on our social media platforms to get relevant updates on upcoming webinars, workshops, and certification trainings we do. All the links to our social media platforms has been shared in the chat box. So do follow us and keep yourself updated. Thank you so much everyone for listening to me. Now we'll hand over the mic to a speaker. Sonu sir, you can take over from here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Shubh. Hey, hello everyone. I hope I'm clearly audible to all of you. So, am I audible? Okay, so let's begin. So, let me share my screen and please confirm whether you are able to see it. Okay, I hope the screen is visible to all of you. So myself, Sonu Satdas, I'm the Assistant Manager Technology at Synergetics. So I have around 15 plus years of experience in training. So I'm a Microsoft certified trainer and an AWS authorized instructor, basically working on the AI, cloud, and open source technologies. So this session is all about to give an update about the Microsoft AI ecosystem, basically the Azure AI Foundry and the generative AI solutions and the concepts, basically the generative AI models, prompt engineering, fine tuning, and ethical AI development. So let's begin. So everyone is aware about the generative AI now, because this is one of the hot topic today that everyone is directly or indirectly using this generative AI services. Maybe the simple end user solutions like the ChatGPT or Copilot or some other tools. Now we are using this generative AI in our mobile devices as well. So what is this generative AI does? It is generating some new content based on the input that we are providing. So here the input means the instruction given in the form of text. So we will be providing some text instructions in natural language, and depends on the model's capability. The model is able to produce a text, image, audio, code, or some other kinds of data. Whatever we provide as an input to the model is called the prompt. And this prompt is understood by the model, or the model is understanding the user prompt in the form of tokens. What is this token? So in simple sentence, I can say a token is a simple word or a symbol, okay, like punctuation characters or something like that. So when you provide a very lengthier text, the model is interpreting and understanding that in tokens format. So we use basically the end user tools like a ChatGPT or Gemini or some other tools. So all of them uses some kind of models. It may be a text generation model, that is large language models, or image generation models, or audio or video generation models. So now coming to this Microsoft Azure Cloud AI platform. So what we are getting in cloud platform. So why we have to use cloud? Because now most of the organizations are building their AI solutions using the cloud resources, or they are deploying their cloud solutions in the cloud. They are deploying their AI solutions on the cloud, or they are consuming the AI solutions from the cloud. So cloud is now very essential. So why we are using the cloud for our generative AI applications? Because scalability is one reason. What is mean by scalability? Suppose if you have to build a generative AI solution, you need to use heavy compute, means very costly infrastructure. It may be a one machine or multiple set of machines. So these machines can be a GPU or TPU based work machines, because if whenever we work with the generative AI solutions, they need high compute power. These compute capacity can be provided by GPU based machines only. And implementing or you preparing this GPU based machines in our on-premise environment is very costly, because we don't need to go and invest a lot of money for buying and setting up the GPU based machines. Suppose if an organization wants to train the model using its own data, then they have to go for a heavy compute. But that heavy compute can be provided by the cloud. So that's the scalability option that it provides, because you don't need to buy anything. You will be just using those services as required. Second thing is, second reason why we are preferring the cloud is the pre-trained models that are available in the cloud. So if you consider the Microsoft Azure or Google or AWS, so all these cloud service providers, they are providing various types of generative AI models and non-generative AI models. So as a end user or as a developer, we can just consume those models directly from the cloud using the APIs. Suppose if there is a text summarization model or image analysis model, and I want to use those models in my applications, what I need to do is I just need to connect those services using the SDK inside our application. So you make a request from your application, then it goes to the cloud, executes, and returns the response. So it is very, very easy for us to integrate those AI solutions in our application. So because we are not investing anything, we are not developing anything, so we are just consuming those pre-trained models. So that is another reason we are going for the cloud. Then cost efficiency. So in the cloud environment, we will get flexible pricing options with the secure enterprise grade features. So the same features and functionality, including the scalability, high availability, security, data protection. So these are some of the features that we are expecting from the application. So if we are trying to enable these things in our on-premise environment, it will be very difficult to implement as well as very costly. So in when we use the cloud services, we are not investing anything. We are just hiring the resources and paying only for what we consume. So because of that, it is very, very cheaper compared to the on-premise solutions. And this cloud environment is providing the cost-effective models with the enterprise-grade security. Next is managed services. Provide managed AI services that handles the complexities of model training, optimization, development, and monitoring. Suppose if my organization wants to build a custom model, or I have to fine tune the existing models. So what is fine tuning we'll discuss later. So for your understanding, just I can say, if you want to retrain the model with our own user specific or domain specific data, that process is called a fine tuning. So if I have to do fine tuning, then I have to spend a lot of money, time, and effort. And also we need a proper deployment tools, monitoring tools for managing these services. So instead of we setting up these things, we can now leverage the same features and functionalities from the cloud itself. Now, let us see what are the options we have in the Azure cloud. So Azure is one of the cloud solution we have. So let's see what we are getting from cloud. So in Microsoft Azure, we can use the pre-trained models. They uh, they can be directly integrated in our applications and solutions. So these pre-trained models we typically call as cognitive solutions. They are not generative AI solutions. They are the traditional deep learning models which can be used for analyzing the images or speech or the text. Okay, or they can be used for even simple data predictions. So if we have to integrate these cognitive models or cognitive services inside our applications. We just need to create an instance of that particular service and then connect to our applications using an authentication endpoint and a key. So that means if I have to analyze an image or I have to perform some natural language operations like a language detection or text translation or entity recognition or intent recognition. So these are some of the natural language operations that we do. So if we have to do this natural language operations on text or some speech and audio related uh, AI operations like a speech to text or text to speech, speaker recognition. Okay, so these are some of the speech related services that we can do. So these all can be done using this pre-trained models because Microsoft has already trained these models with enough data and created as a service in the cloud platform. So we can just go and create a new instance of this service and start using it. For example, if I go to the Microsoft Azure platform, so here I can create maybe a vision service. So I can create a computer vision or custom vision. Here you can see computer vision and custom vision services are available. So I can just deploy a new instance of this service and use inside our applications. Similarly, we have language services. Language service, which is basically used for the natural language operations. Okay, so you can create an instance of a language service which will give you a key and endpoint. So through that we can access this language service. Similarly, we can also use the speech services. So there is a speech service which will help you to integrate the text to speech, speech to text, speaker recognition kind of functionalities inside our application. So these are ready to use services. The next type of service or next type of AI service that we are getting from Microsoft Azure is the generative AI solutions. And that is the focus area here. So generative AI solutions means you will be able to create a Azure AI Foundry resource or Azure Open AI resource for consuming your generative AI solutions. If you create an Azure Open AI resource, it will help you to create and consume the Open AI's models only, means the GPT models and all. But if you want to consume the other types of generative AI models, means from other providers, then you can go with the Azure AI Foundry resource. So you can create your AI Foundry resource or the Open AI resource like this. So here you can see this is an Open AI resource. If I go inside this, I can launch the AI Foundry portal. Okay, I think the UI has updated. So here you can see the models which are available here. So these are the various types of models that is now available in the Azure AI Foundry. So you can either use the Open AI resource or the Azure AI Foundry resource. This is the AI Foundry project. So this is the old portal. Now they have updated. So here you can see we can go to the model catalog, which will give you the list of available open AI models. Can you see these all are open AI models only because I have selected the open AI resource. But if I switch to the AI Foundry resource, this is an AI Foundry resource. If I switch to the AI Foundry, we are able to go and consume or deploy the other providers models also. Means if you see here the models, you can see here the models from Anthropic, models from the Mistral, Llama, DeepSeek, XAI, Meta, and you can see all providers model. So this is a Mistral model, right? So the third type of service is the machine learning service. If you want to create the traditional prediction models, then you can go for the machine learning service. So in machine learning service, you will be creating simple ML models, not the generative AI models, which will help you to create simple classification or prediction models. So you can create the ML models, do the data by doing the data preparation, experimentation, model training, deployment, and monitoring. Now coming to the generative AI solutions, because that's a focus area today. The open AI models, we have various open AI models available, starting from the older versions of GPT, like a GPT 3, 3.54, GPT means O3 models, O4 models. We have the latest 5.1 also available in the Azure OpenAI. So OpenAI is actually a different organization or research uh, company that is creating and uh, creating generative AI models for the users. Okay, so they have various types of models available. They have the large language models, that is text generation models. They call GPT models. They have image generation models like DAL-E 3, Whisper model for the speech recognition, and then TTS, text to speech models also available. Means various types of models they have. But the same Open AI models are now available in Microsoft Azure also. So how these Open AI models are now available in Azure OpenAI? Because if you see, you can consume this Open AI models directly from the Open AI platform also. Means Open AI also. So this is the Open AI platform where you can use these models. Can you see the models like a GPT 5.1, GPT 4, GPT 4.1, O3, embeddings model, DAL-E model, and many models available here. So either you can directly consume this model from the OpenAI, or you can consume the same models from the Azure portal or Azure platform. So what is the difference? So which one is better? Directly consuming the OpenAI from the OpenAI portal or consuming the same OpenAI services through the Azure portal. So which one is better option? So if you look at this table will give you an understanding of what is the difference between these two. So if you use the OpenAI, which will give you the direct access to the OpenAI platform. But Azure OpenAI, that is through the Azure portal, it is giving you the access to the OpenAI models via the Azure subscription, which means you need to have an Azure subscription to use the OpenAI models. Deployment means the OpenAI models are hosted on the OpenAI's infrastructure. So you don't have any control over the number of deployments or the size of deployment or anything like that. But when it comes to Azure OpenAI, these models are getting deployed inside the Azure infrastructure, means Azure VMs will be used. And also, this is providing the industry standard compliance for the applications and solutions. Models available in whatever OpenAI models available, the same models are now available in Azure OpenAI also. Coming to the customization, we are now able to use the fine tuning capability, means customizing the OpenAI model and creating the model embeddings. Model embeddings means converting the text data into numeric representations for the better um, search operations. So you can create the fine tuning and embeddings using the OpenAI APIs. But in Azure OpenAI, we can do the fine tuning, the embeddings, and everything via the Azure AI Foundry portal. Security and compliance. In OpenAI portal, if you're consuming the OpenAI models via the OpenAI portal, it is giving you a standard general cloud-based security only. But in Microsoft Azure, if you are creating and deploying the OpenAI, that will give you the enterprise grade security, because the cloud platform is by default follows some standards and compliance like SOC, HIPAA, GDPR, ISO, etc., etc. So you will be able to use the same enterprise grade security features for your OpenAI models also. Integration in OpenAI, you will be able to integrate the services via the APIs and ChatGPT interface. But in Azure OpenAI, we can integrate this into various other services like the logic apps, functions, web apps, VMs, etc. So everywhere you can use. Now, if you look at the OpenAI is ideal for developers and small scale industries like startups and individual researchers. But if you are looking for the enterprise grade features, then definitely you have to go for the Azure platform. Now let me show you what is Azure AI Foundry, because this is one of the major tool that we are using for the AI development. There are many other tools that that is using the AI features, generative AI features like uh, ML Studio is there where we can create the prompt flow, or we have Copilot Studio, or the AutoGen Studio, or we have uh, the other services like semantic kernel. So everywhere we are using or integrating the generative AI, but the best place where I can use the generative AI solutions is the AI Foundry, because that is the portal that helps you to create and manage your generative AI solutions. If you look at the Azure AI Foundry portal, this is the look and feel. I have just opened that AI Foundry portal. You have to log in to ai.azure.com, and then you need to create either an OpenAI resource or Azure AI Foundry resource. So Azure AI Foundry resource, if you create, then you are start working on a project that allows multiple types of model deployment. As I mentioned earlier, this is the new look and feel of the portal. And this is the old look and feel. Okay. So if you look at this, here I can switch my resources. I have two type of resources. Either I can go with the Open AI resource, or I can go with the AI Foundry resource. If I select the Open AI resource, then you will be able to see a model catalog option here. So here you can see all the models available. Suppose if you have to use any particular model, maybe I have to use the GPT uh, chat model, GPT 5.1 chat model. I can click on that model, GPT 5.1 chat model, and then deploy a new instance of this model. Okay, so I can say use this model. So this model is available in the same location, East US 2. Okay, okay, this is not available. I'm in the East US location, but it is available. It is not available in the East US. It is available in the East US 2. Suppose if I don't want to switch the resource, the location, so I can just go back to the model catalog, then select some other available model. Okay. Maybe GPT 4.1 mini. Okay, so here it is available. You can see here East US is available. That means this model is available. I can just deploy. Okay, here is some error, that is invalid resource, the specific SKU. Okay, this is not supported at some tier issue. Let me. This is also. This is also not available in East US. It's only in East US 2. So which model is available in East US? GPT 4. Let me try. Okay. Okay, I think this model is deprecated. This is not available now. So I think East US location is very limited models available, because Azure is not providing the same services in all locations. Some locations, some services are not available. Okay, I have deployed the O3 model. If you see, the O3 model is deployed. I think I have already deployed some other models also. If I go to the deployment section, here I can see DAL-E, then GPT 4.1, GPT 4.0, then O3. These are all okay. I think this failed because the same deployment already exists in this location. So if I have to try out any of this model, I can just go to the chat playground. So go to the playground section. This is the chat playground. From this drop down, I can select any model. Maybe if I have to try the O3 model, I can select this. Then we can start asking some questions here. For example, how far is moon? You can see it is thinking, and yes, you can see the answer for that. So if you look at this models catalog, you will be able to see various types of models. Base GPT models are available, that is text only models are available. There are multi-model models available. Means multi-model models means the models that can accept multiple types of inputs like uh, text and image or text and audio, etc. And also it may be able to produce multiple outputs or multiple types of output like text and image or text and audio, etc. Then we have embeddings models. Embedding models are typically used to create the numeric representation, or it's also called a vector representation of your text. So suppose if we have a text data, we have to convert that into numeric representation, because when we build the RAG based solutions, we need to store the data, and then later we have to search the data based on the semantic meaning. So for that we need to convert your data into vector embeddings format. It's just a numeric representation of the text. We have image models also. So DAL-E is an image model. So if you look here under the deployments, you can see I have a DAL-E model available. So here I can select this model, open in playground. So this is the image playground. So inside the images playground, here you can see the DAL-E model available, and I can generate a image. So you can see the size of this images. You can select any size image, and you can describe the image that you want to generate. For example, create an image of a dog and a cat playing with a ball. Create. I'm saying create a ultra realistic image. Let's try and check whether the model is able to generate the response. So here you can, sorry, here you can see the image. Okay, so this is the image which is generated by the DAL-E model. Okay, so using the Azure AI Foundry, you are able to uh, deploy the models. So currently I have selected the OpenAI resource. So this is my OpenAI resource. That's why I'm able to see and deploy only the OpenAI model. So under the deployments, if you see here, I can see only the OpenAI models here. All icons you can see. But what if I have to deploy a model from a different vendor? Maybe the Anthropic model I have to deploy, or the uh, Mistral model I have to use, or Llama model I have to use. Then we will have to create an AI project. In AI project means it's going to create a Azure AI Foundry resource. So here you can see this is an Azure AI Foundry resource. If I switch to that, now you can see that OpenAI label is gone, and this is my AI Foundry resource. And if you go to the models catalog, you are able to see now models from various other providers also. These are Anthropic models, right? Opus, Sonnet, Haiku, etc. Plus, you can also see some other providers. So here you can see the models like Grok, DeepSeek, Mistral models, okay. Then Llama models, all are available here. And I have already done some deployment. So here, models and endpoints. Okay, I think there is no deployment. So let me deploy. Since this is in East US 2, this is the first deployment I am doing under this resource. Okay, and this is in East US 2 region. It's the same way how we have tested for OpenAI. Similar way we can do it here also. Means I can try by passing a question. And you can see the answer. So if you want the sample code, suppose you have tested this by deploying this, and you have also tested by making a request. Now you have to integrate this inside your application. It's very easy to integrate this AI in your application, because if you click on this code, here you will get the sample code here, and here you can see which language code you want. So by default, Python is available, but you can try C sharp. So now it's giving the C sharp example, or you can go for Java. So this is a Java example. This is JavaScript. So here the library type also you can change. Use the generic OpenAI SDK or the Azure specific SDK. Okay. So it's not only helping you to deploy the model, but also generate the code for you. So how to create an open AI resource? You can directly create an open AI resource or the AI Foundry resource from the portal or using a command line interface. So this is an example for creating an OpenAI resource using command line tool. And if you are doing portal, you just need to fill the text box values and submit. So I have already showed how to use this Azure AI Foundry and deploy the model, and also how to get the code for integrating the AI service into our application. The next part of our session is prompt engineering. So what is this prompt engineering and why it is important? So whenever we interact with generative AI models, we are providing the instructions using prompt, means the text instructions we are providing. But the instructions that we are providing is not proper. If it is not correct, the model is not able to go and generate a proper response. So if you are expecting relevant responses from the models, then our prompt must be properly crafted. So how to write this prompt in an effective way? That is prompt engineering. So what is the role of a prompt here in generative AI? A prompt is the input you give to the model to get the desired result, and it can be a text or sometimes image or other inputs also can come. You don't need to be a data scientist to write the prompt. So everyone can prompt. So you don't need to learn very complex techniques to write an effective prompt. Some simple tips and tricks you have to understand for writing the better prompt. So understand the large language models, that is the generative AI models, have some weakness. Weakness means one is ambiguity, because sometimes the model will give you some unclear responses, means if because of the question that we are providing or because of the prompt that we are providing, the model may not be able to understand it correctly, means it will get confused. Okay, what is the user is expecting, because inside our request we are not clearly defining what is expecting, so model will get confused about the request. So what he is expecting. So he is not clearly mentioning that in the request. So that process or that problem is called ambiguity. So that comes because you are writing an unclear prompt. Second problem or second weakness is inaccuracy. So model, that is generative AI models are generating the responses, but it may not be correct in always. Yes, it will try to create possible correct solutions, but sometimes it may generate incorrect results because your prompt is not properly instructing what is required. So model may generate some hallucinated results. Okay, so that appear like a correct answer, but it will be a wrong one. Bias is the next problem, means in your responses there can be bias. It's because the model is trained with the biased data. Context loss. If your model is not able to follow the conversation context, applications like a chatbots may not work properly, because in chatbot, how we will interact with the generative AI models? We ask one question, model gives the response. When you ask the second question, that will be a follow-up question, or that will be a subsequent question connecting to the first question, right? So in that cases, if the model is not able to track the conversation, if the model is not able to track the conversation, then your model cannot understand what is the context, what we are talking about. So that is called the context loss. So we need to ensure that the conversation history or context is properly maintained. Overconfidence sounds certain even when it is wrong. So models sometimes generate incorrect results and will show it as a correct response. So that is also a problem in generative AI models. To overcome these problems, we use prompt engineering. So what is prompt engineering? Prompt engineering is the tips and tricks or the techniques that we are using to create a effective prompt. So if I have to create a correct prompt, we have to we have to use the prompt engineering techniques. So in the using the prompt engineering techniques, we are able to set the role, tone, style, and format for your uh, model request. So what the or how the model needs to respond, what it has to respond, in which format it has to respond, how it has to respond. Everything can be defined in the prompt. When you write the prompt, so we may write some text. It may be a good one or bad one. So basically, when you write a prompt, we have to be very clear and specific. Like, okay, this is what I am expecting. And these are the informations I already have. And you are supposed to generate this information. This is what the prompt. So prompt means what? It's not only the question that you are asking. Okay, give me the report. So give me the report means which report? Where is the data? From what kind of report you are expecting? So you have to clearly express, because model cannot guess anything, right? So you have to write the prompt. For example, here, tell me about climate change. So tell me about climate change means, yes, model will generate some information about the climate change, but that may not be correct. Okay, because that may not suitable to your requirement. So you can modify this prompt to make it elaborate, that contains the context and requirement the informations, like explain the main causes of climate change in simple terms for high school students using 3 bullet points and one example. So what is expected? We have to explain the main causes of climate change in a simple, understandable format for a high school student, because students may not understand very complex statements. So it should be a very simple statement. So simple terms we have to use, and it is for a high school student. And what is a format? It has to display the responses in 3 bulleted format with a one example. The best practices for writing prompt, it has to be very clear, specific, and concise. So don't make it very very, very descriptive, and don't make it very short. So it is to the point, means what is expected, what we already have, that needs to be very clearly defined. Provide context and constraints. So if the model is giving you hallucinated result, the reason can be the model is not aware about the context, because model is stateless. It cannot remember anything about the previous conversations. So we have to provide the proper context information. Means when you provide the informations in detail, model is able to generate the responses correctly. Use examples and the roles. So it is very, very important for us to define the role of this model. That is called a role-based prompting. In that, we will clearly specify the role of the model. Means the model has to answer like whom. So answer like a research student, answer like a teacher, answer like a police officer, or answer like a network engineer. So you can define the role of that model. Secondly, provide proper examples so that the model is capable to generate the outputs in the same example format. Iterate and refine based on the results. Understand, prompt engineering technique is not a structured one. So if you say, okay, every prompt has to be written in this particular structure, it's not like that. It depends on the scenario, depends on the requirement, your prompt structure will be different. So when you write the prompt for the first time, it may not satisfy the complete requirements, or it may not be suitable to generate the appropriate results. So what you need to do, modify the result again and then retry. Suppose again, if you are not getting the expected result, again modify and then retry. So that means you have to try multiple times to get the expected result. Avoid ambiguous or emotional phrasing. So ensure that you are not using any confusing statements inside the prompt, and also do not include any toxic words like related to sexual, self-harm, violence, and hate. Okay, so ensure that the prompt is not containing any emotional phrasing. The large language models output is very, very important. So output length is depending on the uh, model's total context size, as well as the number of tokens, max tokens parameter that you specify in the request. So uh, sometimes when you make a request, you can explicitly mention that, okay, generate the responses in maximum 100 words or 200 words. So here one word means one token. Okay, you can assume, and on an average. Okay, so you can tell the model, okay, create the response in just a 500 words, or maybe in 3 bulleted points, something like that. So why we have to use that? Because we have to ensure that the model is consuming only less number of tokens. Why? Because the total cost of the model is uh, calculated based on the number of tokens consumed. So number of tokens consumed is directly affecting the cost. Okay, and also the response time. So if more larger text if you are generating, you will get the response very slowly. So ensure that you specify the length of the response in the request. Now let's see some of the prompt engineering techniques. The first one I can say is the system prompting. System prompting is basically used to provide the instructions to the model. So what to be used, what should not be used. Okay. And role-based prompting is a part of system prompting, because while using system messages or system prompt, you can also specify the role, that how the model has to behave. Okay, for example, I can show you an example here using the Azure platform. This is the chat playground, right? So I can just clean up the conversation. So this is the GPT-5 chat model is used. So what I can do here, a basic instruction is given. This is called the system message. So in the system message, I am just saying you are an AI assistant that helps people to find information. This is a general statement, right? So now if I go and ask a question like how far is moon from Earth? You can see it is going to answer this question. It's a very decent answer. You can see here, it just simply gives what is the maximum distance or minimum distance, okay, that from Earth to Moon. Fine. This is a very good answer that is generated. But if I change the system message, what happens? I'm going to change the role of the agent or the assistant, saying that you are a comedian who answers all questions in a funny way. Now apply the changes. Now let me ask the same question. Let's see what is the difference. So same question I'm trying, but this time you can see the response that is coming is answer is there included, but the format or style or the tone is different, because this is adding some fun inside this. Look at that. The moon, Earth's slightly aloof roommate. On average, it's this many kilometers away. That roughly the distance you could travel if you took a wrong turn while looking for a Taco Bell or on Mars. To put it another way, if you drove there at highway speed, it would take you around 6 months, not counting bathroom breaks, snack stops, or the part where your car bursts into the flames in the vacuum of space. So you can see it is just making it in a funny way. So answer is given, but it's just adding some fun, because now this is behaving like a comedian who is answering everything in a funny way. So I'm changing the role. Okay, so now I can answer, or now I can change the role, you are a Python developer who writes Python code for users. This is changing the role to a Python developer, plus additional instructions we can provide, like if any question comes which is not related to Python, just say I cannot help you. So if it is a Python related question, then only it will answer. If any question comes that which is not related to Python, It say I cannot help you. Now let's try the same question. This is not related to the Python code. See, it says I cannot help you. Same question. Okay. But if I ask something related to Python, for example, write a Python code for merge sorting. We can see Python question, if I'm asking, it is answering. But any non-Python question I'm asking, it's not answering. Because in the instruction, I have clearly mentioned that. So that is what system prompting. Okay, so inside the system prompt, we will be providing the instruction, and the role prompting means we are changing the behavior or persona of the model. In system prompting, we basically specify the format. Okay, we can specify which format the output should be displayed. And this helps you to reduce the hallucinations because you specifically tell the model like how to respond, what to respond. If the question is which not related to the particular domain, do not answer. You saw in my example, I said if it is not related to Python, just to say I cannot help you, right? So instead of giving a wrong answer, then you can tell the model to respond. So you can also add some safety and toxicity filters. So like if some specific type of questions comes related to the security or related to the assistance configuration, so do not answer those questions. So that kind of toxicity filters can also be applied. Role-based prompting means you will be specifying the type or the persona of the model, like a travel guide, developer, book writer, or teacher, and so many roles we can specify, and also their talking style. Second is the conversation history. In conversation history, you will be including the historical messages, that is the previous conversation messages into the prompt. So why it is important? Because if you want to ensure the model is able to follow the conversation context, you need to include the previous conversation messages into the current request. So if you look into this one, maybe I can just reset everything. Okay. So I'm adding a question like I am Sonu Satyadas. So you can see this the response which is coming. It is greeting with my name. Then I'm asking another question. Okay. Can you tell me about yourself? So it just give a response. Then I'm asking, um, can you tell me my name? Do you remember it? Yes, it is remembering this because you can see the code. In this code, wait, it is not showing this complete. Okay, this is a dummy example. Okay, it's not giving the complete example. Okay, so in this conversation, every time when I makes the request, these previous messages also goes along with the request. As you see in this code, here is a messages array. So inside this message array, it is keep inserting the messages that we are sending. So every time I send a new message, that message will be inserted into the messages array, and that complete message array will be sent to the model. So that's why the model is able to remember the conversation history. Another prompt engineering technique is the zero shot learning. So zero shot learning means when you use the conversation history, you can also provide some examples along with your prompt. But some questions, when you uh, ask, it is not necessary to specify any example. Okay, there is no example required. Inside the system message itself, you will be able to provide the uh, instruction like how to respond. So there is no example required. But in some scenario, you have to provide a multiple example. Okay. So in the conversation history, if you are not adding any examples like how to respond, okay, in that case, it's called a zero shot prompting or zero shot learning because you are not adding any examples in the request. But in the other approach, that is in one shot or few shot learning, you are adding some examples into the prompt. For example, here I can specify that you are a helpful assistant that analyzes the sentiment of the user feedback. Okay, so now I am applying this change and then I'm going to ask a question like I'm giving a feedback. So it is going to give the sentiment. So I'm saying I am not happy with the product. See, it's saying the sentiment is negative, but you can see the sentiment response is coming in like a normal text format. But my expected response is in a JSON format. So what I can do, I go to this one and I can add some examples. Here, I can give some examples here. First example is if I give a negative or positive prompt or positive feedback like it's awesome, like it. So this is a positive one. So I want the response to come in a JSON format. So here I can specify the positive, the JSON format like a sentiment is equal to positive, and I can say value equal to 1, and I can also provide a one more attribute, a reason. Okay, it's good. Some reason I'm providing. Okay, so this is one example. This is called a one-shot learning. But I know the sentiment can be positive or negative or neutral. So I can give one more example here. So let me add one more example. So now you can see this is one user message, assistant message. Again, another user message, then another assistant message. Maybe this time I will give a negative example like its quality is not good, not worth the money. So here I can give the same JSON format. Instead of positive, this time I'm giving negative, and this is -1, and it's not good, something like that. Suppose for neutral, I can give another example. So let me add one more example. So now it's the third example I'm providing. So I can see it is an okay type product. So I can give this time the neutral as the sentiment. Value is 0 and it's okay, some reason. So you can see now I have given examples for each category. So one positive example, one negative example, and one neutral example. So now let me save, apply the changes, and I'm giving the same feedback. Let's see whether it will come in the text format or the JSON format. Now you can see it's given the JSON format because as per the example, we are expecting the result in a JSON, and also every JSON should contain this values. So this is the few short learning example. Context. So contextual prompting means when you write the prompt, you can also provide some background information like what is it? What are the informations already I have? Okay. Now generate a particular response. So you can specify inside your prompt, okay, these are the informations I already have. Now generate the response based on this. So what you are providing along with your request is called the context data, right? So you will be basically providing the context data in using the system messages. So it will help you to provide a more accurate result. So it will reduce hallucinations. Chain of thought. So chain of thought is another prompt engineering techniques because in chain of thought, the suppose if you are asking the model to solve a very complex problem, it may be a multi-step problem which cannot be answered in a simple way. Okay, so like a reasoning questions, like you are asking a lot of complex questions, but in this case, we cannot tell the model to answer this in a just a simple one word. So we can tell the model to think step by step. Like usually when we teach the students, we will say, okay, if there is a mathematics problem, don't write only the answer. You please write the steps. Okay, so for example, a square plus 2ab plus b square. So some formula you are giving, and using this formula, we have to find out the result of an equation, something like that. So we will tell the student, don't write only the answer. You have to write the steps, step by step, how you are coming to the solution, right? Similarly, here also we will tell the model. For example, here is a very simple example. When I was 3 years old, my partner was 3 times my age. Now I am 20 years old. How old is my partner? So this is a calculation required inside it. Okay. So if you are telling the model to answer this without thinking or without going step by step, it may be giving you a wrong answer. Here you can see. But if you write the prompt in this way, like when I was 3 years old, my partner was 3 times my age. Now I am 20-year-old. How old is my partner? Let's think step by step. So let's think step by step means now it will think step by step. Like when I was 3, my partner was 3 times my age. That is 3 into 3 equal to 9. So the actual difference between them is 6-year-old. So the age difference is 9 by 9 minus 3 equal to 6. So now my age is 20. So what is the partner's age? So that the difference is always 6, right? So now you are 20. So partner is 20 plus 6 equal to 26. So you'll get the correct answer. So now you can see because it is going step by step, it will get the correct answer. So We are telling the model to think in this way, step by step. That's called a chain of thought. So complex problems we can ask the model to resolve step by step. React, reason and act. React is another prompt engineering techniques used in the agentic AI applications. So what is agent? So agent is a autonomous software that uses the large language models to use some tools for connecting to the external sources and fetch the data or do some actions. So the agents are identifying which tool to execute based on the LLM's response. So when you provide an instruction to this model or to the agent is first thinking, making a reason. Okay, he is asking for this purpose. For completing this operation, this tool is required. Then it will start executing the tool. Okay, for example, I have an agent that has multiple tools connected to it. So tools means nothing but program code. So one tool is for connecting to the internet, one tool is for connecting to the database, one tool is connecting to the file, means file read write operations. Okay. So now if I'm giving a prompt like okay, so I want to write a hello world message into my file. So simple prompt. I want to write a hello world message into the file. So now the agent is receiving the request and send it to the LLM. LLM will understand what the user is requesting. The user is requesting to write some data into the local file. So it will understand, okay, he is looking for a local file based operation. So which tool I can use for completing this work? The file operation tool. Then it will execute that file operation tool. Okay, so identify or reasoning and action. So that's why this technique is called a React approach. So these are some of the prompt engineering techniques we have that we commonly use inside our models. Now, we can also talk about the other limitations of models. So we have already discussed some weakness of models. That uh, model may generate biased result. Model is not aware about the context. Model is may generate the ambiguous results, etc. So how we can resolve that? By writing the better prompt. But some problems still can't be resolved using the prompt. What is it? So that is the model's disadvantage or model's limitation. So what is model limitation? The model's limitation is models cannot answer anything specific to the organization's private data. For example, here if I'm asking a question to the model, so let me go and ask a question like what is the reimbursement policy in Synergetics? Okay, so when I ask this question, let's see what result is coming. It simply says I don't have access to the information about Synergetics reimbursement policy. Why? It is saying that I cannot help or I don't have access to this. Because reimbursement policy is actually a private or internal data to the organization. Models don't have access or models are not trained on the organization's or users' personal data. So it cannot answer any questions related to the personal or organization's internal data. Okay. But what if I have to implement a chatbot which can answer about the organization's personal data or organization's internal data? Maybe in my employees portal application, I want to implement a chatbot which can answer the questions related to the reimbursement policy. But the chatbot is using generative AI model, and the generative AI model cannot understand or cannot read the informations of organizations' private data. Then, then the option is we can update the model with the organization's data. Means we can retrain the model with the organization's private data. So, if the model is not aware about the domain specific or organization specific data, we can fine tune them. So what is meant by fine tuning? Fine tuning is the process of taking a pre-trained AI or machine learning model and adapting it to more specific task or data set. So that means we know that all the models are pre-trained models. So here if you look into this picture, this is a model which is a pre-trained model. Okay, so you can consider this as a OpenAI GPT model. Now what we do is we will prepare some data, that is some domain specific data set we have. This is the domain specific data, means our organization's private data, that is this one. So what we do is we will take this pre-trained LLM and add this domain specific data, and here we will retrain this model. So here is the retraining process. Okay. And then the model is able to answer the user's question. So we are providing some domain specific data, and we will train this model so that the model will get updated with some extra knowledge, and we will use that model to answer the domain specific question. So instead of training a model from scratch, which requires massive data and computing power, fine tuning build on the knowledge the model already has. The model is already aware about something, plus we are adding some extra knowledge to the model. That is called a fine tuning. This makes the training faster, cheaper, and often more accurate for domain specific use cases. So this is better to use the models in some domain specific scenarios. For example, if I have to use a model in healthcare industry, legal industry, manufacturing industry, or some other areas, so where I need to use some domain specific information. So such cases we can go for fine tuning. So why fine tuning is useful? Fine tuning helps an AI model to perform better in specialized context. For example, a general language model can be fine tuned to understand the legal, medical, and technical terminology, because the model, pre-trained model, may not be aware about all the legal terms and conditions or legal terminologies that we use, or all the medicine names and treatment details and everything. But what we can do, we can fine tune the model to understand these legal terminologies or the medical terminologies or medicine details, treatment details, etc. And this updated version of the model is capable to answer all your questions related to the medical or legal domain. It improves the accuracy, reduce errors, and allows the model to generate outputs aligned with the specific goals and the brand tone. When you use this will give you more accuracy than the normal pre-trained models responses, because now the model is already trained with some domain specific data. So the answers will be more accurate. So what are the different steps we have to follow for doing fine tuning? So fine tuning is done with a systematic approach. First, we have to collect the data from the domain. Suppose if I am preparing or I am planning to fine tune a model for a legal department. So I have to collect all the legal data first. Okay. So from all the legal documents or the uh, documents that we have to collect it from various sources, and then we have to prepare the data. Prepare the data means there may be some irrelevant informations which we have to remove and keep only the relevant informations with the appropriate examples and structure them in a particular format. So basically the JSON L format. So in a JSON format, we have to structure the data. So once the data is converted into the JSON format, then we can start the training process. Okay. So once we start the training, then it will take some time, because training is a heavy process. It may take some time, maybe a day or also. Okay, it depends on the size of the data that we have, and it will need a heavy compute like GPU based machines. That's why we said you can do the fine tuning of models in the cloud, because cloud can provide you the GPU based machines at lower cost. Okay. And then once the training is completed, we will be evaluating the model, whether the model is answering things correctly. If the model is not answering correctly, then you have to retrain again. So you will evaluate this model after every retraining. Once you are satisfied, then you can deploy this. Okay. And this process continues until you create a fine-tuned model. So if you want to try the fine tuning, as I mentioned, you need some heavy compute. If you need the uh, fine tuning to be done using the Azure AI Foundry, you can follow these steps. So here it is clearly specifying how to do the fine tuning. So to do the fine tuning, as I mentioned, you have to convert your data into a particular format. So this is a sample file format. So you have to convert your data in this JSON L format. Okay. And then you can start preparing or start doing the fine tuning. So in the Azure AI Foundry, there is a separate section here. Here is the fine tuning. So here you can fine tune the model. So you can select which model you want to fine tune. Suppose if I have to fine tune this model, select the model. Then you have to specify the method, supervised or unsupervised. Then add the training data. So if you have the JSON data already ready, then you have to select that JSON data here. Okay. So I don't have any JSON data. You can just upload that JSON file. So once it is uploaded, then you have to submit. So it will start the training process. Once the training is completed, you will be able to see a new model here. It will say that it is an updated version of the pre-trained model. Okay. And how we are using the uh, pre-trained model, similar way you can use the fine-tuned model also. Okay. I'm not doing that because even if I start this, it may take an hour or more to complete the fine tuning. Now we are coming to the last part of our session, that is ethical AI development. What is mean by ethical AI development? First thing is how we are going to use the AI solutions, because as you know, now we can use the AI in different domains in different ways. So we have to ensure that we use the AI services ethically. So there can be a lot of misuse of the AI services, like deep fake videos, images can be created. Even audio content can be generated. So you can create a audio or video using my voice and my picture. So that fake videos will looks exactly like the original videos. Okay. So there are a lot of problems that may come because of the generative AI. So we have to use this AI services in an ethical way, right? For that, whenever we build or use the AI services, we have to follow some principles. That's called the responsible AI principles. The first one is transparency. That means whatever AI operations we do, or whatever is the AI operations, it has to clearly define what it is doing, how it is doing. Because, for example, if there is a AI model which is telling, or which is uh, helping the customers to select a share uh, in the share market. Okay, so how you will trust the application, that whether it is suggesting the right share. So instead of just randomly selecting one. So there should be some clear explanation. What is the calculation it does to suggest that share? So transparency is very important, like how it is working, what it is collecting. Like in case of generative AI, what is the data it is collecting, how it is using our data. Okay, what are the which of the areas we are our data is used, because it is very, very important to understand that how they are working. Fairness. Fairness is used to mitigate the bias and ensure inclusiveness. So, because if there is a bias in the data set, then the model will generate biased results. For example, if you are asking the model to generate a report, if the model is not properly trained with a balanced data set, it may generate a biased results. That is incorrect result. So that we have to handle. Accountability. So holding developers and organizations responsible for AI outputs. So whatever decisions or whatever data the AI is generating or using, so somebody should be responsible for that, right? So either the organization or developers should be responsible for the activities or the outputs generated by the uh, responsible AI, or done by the AI models. So the privacy means secure handling of user data. So because most of the organizations are now worrying about the data privacy, because how the model is going to handle the organization's data, how the model is going to use the organization's personal data. So that's always a concern. So we have to clearly define how the model is going to handle this data, right? So data privacy is always a concern when working in organizations. Sustainability, energy efficient AI model training. So when you use the AI services. So we need to ensure that we are committed to use low energy, low power while using the AI for training and inference. So here the same points are mentioned. These accuracy, authenticity, anti-bias, privacy, and transparency. So this is another view of the AI, ethical AI considerations, like the generative AI model should give accurate results. That should not be means it should give any um, incorrect responses, like hallucinated responses should not be there. Authenticity means the model or the model developer should take the responsibility of uh, the responses generated by the AI model. Okay. And these data should be generated based on some data. So, what is the authenticity of the data? Will it randomly generate some fake data, or or the data is generated from some actual data source? So, the authenticity of the data. Anti-bias is another important thing. As I mentioned, we have to ensure our training data set is well balanced so that it does not generate the biased data. Privacy, just now we have discussed. Transparency is also we have discussed. Strategies to address the ethical challenges. Bias mitigation. So how we can reduce bias or eliminate the bias in the responses? Ensure that we are using diverse and inclusive training data. Means if we are using a training or if you are preparing a training data set, we need to ensure that it is containing all types of users and all types of data in a balanced way. Suppose if we are using only one specific type of data, then the model will always generate that kind of information only. So we have to ensure that the training data set is a balanced data set. AI explainability, that is XAI. So XAI means explainable AI. So making the AI generated content understandable. So we need to ensure that the AI generated content is explainable or understandable. Human oversight. Very important thing that sometimes people think that, okay, whatever the AI generated content is always correct and we can directly use in our production systems or in our applications and services. So that's the wrong. AI can make mistakes. So you take any AI application, whether it is ChatGPT or Anthropic or any, even Google Gemini also, it will give you it will show you a disclaimer message that AI can make mistakes. Review the responses before you use it. Right? So that means AI can make mistakes. So it is the responsibility of the user to manually verify this. Then you may think, then what is the use of generative AI? So generative AI is going to help you in generating the response, but that may contain incorrect data. So validating that data is your response. Legal and the policy frameworks. So ensure that there are proper governance and compliance policies aligned to your AI applications. So it will ensure that there is no legal and compliance issues will be there. Your application is aligned with the legal and compliance frameworks. So like ISO, HIPAA, or SOC, kind of different legal com or complaint standards are there. So ensure that your application is aligned to such legal and policy frameworks. That's it from my side. So now, if you have any questions, you can post your questions in the chat. Here I can see a question like what skills are required, but for what? So different skills are required for different uh, purposes, but what skill you are referring to? So you can, Suri Kavi, you can post your question in the chat. Okay, so for using the AI in Azure, you if you are planning to build the AI solutions, you first of all you should know some programming language, basically Python or .NET is recommended. Secondly, you have to have good understanding of the AI ecosystem, like what are the different types of AI services. Okay, what is the difference between machine learning, deep learning, and generative AI? In generative AI, what are the different components like tokens, parameters, model architecture, prompt engineering? Okay, and then the different frameworks that we can use to build the generative AI applications like semantic kernel, AutoGen, Llama Index, LangChain. Then understanding about the cloud services because you are planning to use the cloud services inside your AI applications like Azure AI Search, Azure Cosmos DB, Azure Blob Storage, okay, or Azure OpenAI. So these cloud services also you need to know. Okay, while selection of the pre-trained models, what should be the criteria for selecting the proper model? Okay, so there are different parameters we have to consider. One is the skill, like what are the skills the models has? Maybe some models are good in reasoning, some models are good in summarization, some models are good in some other cases. Okay, so what are the skills the model has? That is one important parameter. Second is the cost. Because some models are costlier, some models are cheaper. So you have to go to the models catalog or models list and identify the pricing tier, like for per request, or means for every 1 million tokens, the cost is calculated. So for 1 million input tokens, what is the cost? 1 million output token, what is the cost? So which good or which uh, model is cheaper in terms of input and output cost, you can consider that. But understand, cheaper models may not have a good skills. Okay, and also there is other parameters like speed. Speed is also another thing. Some cheaper models like mini models, nano models, they may be very cheaper, but their performance like speed and skills may be very low. Okay, so that is also we have to consider. But if you are expecting high performance, then you may have to uh, uh, but ignore the cost. Okay, because high performance models with a better skills maybe they are costlier. Okay. Then another important parameter we have to consider is the context size. Okay, so I can show you an example of those parameters here in the Open AI. Here, if you select the model, maybe this, can you see here? This is the reasoning skill. So here it is saying five, which is, sorry, four bulbs icon is given, which means here the reasoning skill is high, speed is faster, price is for 1 million input tokens, it is $1.25. For 1 million output token, it is $10. And what are the inputs it accept? It is accepting the text and image, and it is outputting only the text. Okay. So if you are expecting image output also, then you cannot select this model. Okay. And similarly, what is the context size? Context size means what is the maximum number of tokens it is accepting in a single request, like a input plus output. So total 4 lakh tokens per request it can handle. Okay. But if you at the same time, if you consider some other model, maybe you can go to GPT 4.1, where is it? Okay, this one. So here you can see this is 10 lakh tokens it supports. Okay, but the speed is medium only, not faster. Okay, intelligence is higher. So intelligence is good, but reasoning skill, I'm not sure how it is. Okay, and you can also go to some other model, maybe O3 model, this one. So its a context size is much smaller. Can you see? This is 2 lakh only, and here it is speed is slow, but reasoning skill is very high. Can you see 5 bulb is given? So reasoning skill is very good. So this model you can use for some reasoning skill activities. And you can see the cost also. Cost you can also compare here in the pricing section. So different models have what is the input cost and output cost. You can see GPT-5 Pro is very costlier for $15 for input, $120 for output for 1 million token. But at the same time, if you see this Nano GPT 4.1 Nano, it is $0.10 for input and 0.40 for output. Compared to this one, you can think what is the cost difference, right? So there are different parameters. If you are looking at cost-effective model, then you can go for the GPT 4.1 Nano. But the performance and the skills that it has maybe less compared to the costlier models. So I cannot simply say which one is better. So you have to consider different parameters. I hope I have answered your question. Is there any more questions?